Hey there, Sensei Mish here. It is Monday, and that means that it's Mondays with Sensei Mish. I know it's a corny opening, but I kind of like it. Now, most of you guys don't know that I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And Star Trek has some pretty good life lessons in it, and I want to talk about that today. But before I get into that, if you are not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button down in the corner. That really helps me out there. And if you want to know when any of my episodes come out, whether it be a Monday's episode, Kusho Corner, or Dojo Cast, hit the little bell. That'll notify you, and you'll know when my stuff comes up. Okay, so Star Trek. Now, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I am such a huge Star Trek fan that I regard myself as a Trekkie, not a Trekker. There's a huge difference. I think there's a little bit of, all the seasons have all the series have some value. Well, except for Discovery, because that's just crap. But besides that, they all have value. They're all good in their own ways. But my favorite is the original with Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and Dr. McCoy, led by William Shatner. Now, as a Star Trek fan and as a parent, it's my job to pass down the Star Trek fandom to my kids, or at least do the best job that I can. Now, I have 3 kids. My eldest, I think he just kind of grinned and bared it, but he really didn't bite. He likes Star Wars, but not really Star Trek. And he's a geek and video gamer and all that kind of stuff, but not really a Star Trek guy. Now, my second child, yeah, I would say he's more of a nerd, not necessarily a geek. He watches stuff for entertainment, but doesn't get into the fandom. Now, my daughter, my youngest, I got my daughter. That it was, and the way I got it was, your classic, hey, what do you want to watch tonight? Oh, I don't know. How about Star Trek? Oh, really? Star Trek? Like she's watched it 100 times, which she hadn't. Or that I'd forced her 100 times, and I hadn't. So I said, you know what? Give me one episode. Just one episode. And if you like it, then we'll go to the next episode. And if you don't like it, I'll call it good. I don't want to fight, If they're not going to like Star Trek, that's fine. So I gave her, so she was like, okay, Dad, one episode. So I played, we got out and we watched the very first episode aired, which is actually the 6th episode filmed. So it's called The Man Trap. It's the one with the little salt monster. Now, needless to say, she loved that episode. And we have then been on the track of not really binge watching, but making sure, I've gotten her through the original generation, which she absolutely loved. We watched the movies, and of course, she likes Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, because, well, that's just the best Star Trek movie ever. And now we're into the next generation. Now, it was when we were watching the 3rd season. We were in the 3rd season of the original generation, and there's an episode called The Savage Curtain. That's the one where Rock Monster kind of brings people of history together. President Lincoln is in it. Anyway, so it's a whole thing of good and evil and all that kind of stuff. So there's a scene on the bridge of the Enterprise, and between Lincoln and Uhura and Shatner. And I've seen this episode 100 dozen times, but there was this one scene that just kind of clicked for me, and I think it's a great commentary when it comes to our woke folk out there, our entitled folk. So let me play the scene for you.
Bless me.
Excuse me, Captain Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scott.
What a charming negress. Oh, forgive me, my dear. I know that in my time some use that term as a description of property.
But why should I object to that term, sir? You see, in our century, we've learned not to fear words.
May I present our communications officer, Lieutenant Uhura?
The foolishness of my century had me apologizing where no offense was given.
We've each learned to be delighted with what we are. The Vulcans learned that centuries before we did.
It is basic to the Vulcan philosophy, sir. The combination of a number of things to make existence worthwhile.
Yes. Philosophy of Nome, meaning all.
We have learned how to not fear words. Wow. What an awesome reality that would be to live in. Where we had such a strong sense of self. Or as Kirk put it, that we've learned to be delighted with who we are. That we could speak freely without the fear of offending somebody. And even if we did, we wouldn't be crucified. But it wasn't just words that Uhura was talking about. It was also thoughts and ideas. Why is it now that some in our society think that they are so enlightened, or as others put it, woke, that they try and silence others when their ideals conflict? And then of course, they have to have that safe space because words hurt them. Ideas hurt them. And they'll do them harm. You know, my mom once told me that, you know, she encouraged me to tell people who used to tease me when I was a kid, because, you know, I was bullied, you know, like some kids, most kids. But she used to tell me, tell those people that sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Wow. Words will never hurt me. You know, I think through that, I learned how to not fear words. Real enlightenment is the sharing of thoughts and ideas. And most importantly, respecting those that you disagree with. You know, if you get offended and butthurt over stupid little shit because only you matter, well, that's called entitlement, not enlightenment. In a previous episode, I had mentioned that I believe that you are responsible for your feelings, not me. I think I actually phrased it that I am not responsible for the way that you feel. That's how I actually phrased it. So if you get offended by something that I say, that's all on you. And that's, you know, is that a problem? Well, it might be. I've gotten offended before, but I'm not going to riot or, you know, call names or run to my safe space. It's called being adult. Yes, there are things that should not be said. There are some things that should not be done because those things do truly hurt people and they are truly offensive. And we need to be aware of that. You know, without some type of empathy, we're just not going to be that civilized society that we need to be. But at the same time, we can't just call people out for stupid things when the intent isn't behind, you know, the intent behind the words isn't there. I'll give you an example. I call my wife woman. Now, some people find that extremely offensive. And you know what? I don't care. But it is not my intent to offend her. It is not my intent to belittle or degrade her. She is a beautiful woman. And I called her woman from the well, I don't think really the day that we met, but I've been calling her for a long time, and we've been almost been together for 25 years. So it truly, she does not find it truly offensive. And if she did, she would tell me. But by me calling her that name, that does not make me a misogynist pig. Okay? It's the intent behind the words. All right? Now, at the same time, my daughter likes to use the word frick when she is angry or frustrated. It's not a bad word, like the word fuck, which is offensive, but that word is offensive because it's known to be constantly used as in the negative. So it has become that offensive word. But she doesn't use that word. She has chosen another word for the same meaning. It's the intent behind the word. We have to be careful when restricting thoughts and ideas and language with emotional, knee-jerk decision making. This is going to lead us into a bland world, a world where censorship is rampant. You know, I would hate to live in a world where I am so scared to compliment somebody for the way that they're dressed or whatever without the fear of being socially crucified. And I'm afraid we're starting to go down that path. You know, as Sigmund Freud once said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And if you don't get that reference, Google it. That's all I have to say about that. So, if you stuck around this long and you're still not a subscriber and you want to subscribe, I want you to be my subscriber. So, hit that button down there if you want to know when I post any of my videos. Hit the little bell. If you like this video, hit the like button, comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And I'll see you on the next video.